How you doing? From the streets of Martinez to the winds of the deserts around Pahrump. This is the guy from Pittsburgh filling in for Pittsburgh Damas, who's somewhere in the Ukraine. His chakra was booted by the traffic police for being double parked. And Pittsburgh Damas' rat reminded us that we owe him 2 weeks New Year's vacation. So I'm filling in. I've got my protective tin hat to protect me from the rays of the ether and the electromagnetic distortion caused by George Tsoukalos' hair. So tonight I'm going to give our first annual 2014 predictions for the new year. And so with that in mind, here I go. Ed Dr. Doom Dames will be arrested in Las Vegas when he attempts to sell 3 of his Ukrainian wives to the owner of the pawn shop on Pawn Stars. Previously, he had been arrested but made bail in Uzbekistan when he attempts to sell 3 other of his Ukrainian wives to a camel dealer in trade for 3 camels. Pittsburgh Damas would have predicted, but I will instead. And now to go on to other predictions. I predicted in 2014 George Norrie's mustache will have had enough and will remove itself from his face and will open up a chain of mustache club for men salons across the U.S. When asked why it left Norrie, the mustache will tell reporters it can no longer take the ridicule and ostracism by fellow mustaches worn by people in the news such as Tom Selleck, Daniel Craig, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and Mel Gibson, who now looks like the V for Vendetta guy. MV of Gabcast 1.0, the spec sheet in Belgab, will quit all his online endeavors in 2014 after he discovers a means to create 3D sculptured tattoos of people's faces on their lawns and of their cats in people's litter boxes across the planet. Gabcast 2.0 guru Aldous Burbank will branch out as he discovers a new theory combining psychology and meditation and creates hyperdimensional and transdimensional meditation. Within the year, 1/2 of all humans will leave Earth for their dimensions, but many will ask for a refund and refuse to leave when they find out the dimensional portals do not carry live streaming episodes of The Walking Dead and Duck Dynasty. Richard C. Hoagland will attempt to sue for copyright infringement, but will be in the end unsuccessful in court. Evil criminal mastermind and holder of half the mortgages in Melbourne, Jasmunda, and destroyer of shows, including Gabcast, will once again have authorities hot on his heels when he replaces rock bands on stages around the world with barbershop singers singing Australian folk songs as New Year's Eve 2014 approaches. He will also incur the ire of people around the world when he replaces the 2014 balls and signs with curled-up alligators painted in glow-in-the-dark paint, and several of them will eat hosts of these shows on live TV. Art Bell will not be able to get the non-compete clause lifted in the early part of the year, but he will have success with a new business, creating a new way to rent a car. His company will be called Oasis Car Rental, and each vehicle will have a live rabbit on the dashboard, which Art will tell people that each rabbit is lucky. Art will get all these rabbits direct from his own garden, which will solve his rabbit overpopulation problem, and each car will have Art streamcasting audios of all his books, with Stacy Keach doing the narrating. Later in the year, Art will decide to return to television, and a special gets the highest ratings of 2014 when a revival of Mike Hammer titled Hammer, Murder in Pahrump is shown on all networks, with Keach reprising his role as Mike Hammer, Bell as Captain Pat Chambers, UFL Phil as the prosecutor, and in his Emmy-winning role as a recurring character, the cat lady Bateman. After the production, Bell will struggle with the consequences of taking on the role, as he will find that Bateman left hundreds of cats on Art's property. SiriusXM will then take pity on Art and allow him to return to the air because it will cost Art much of his fortune to feed the cats every day with kitty crunchies. And he will also return to terrestrial radio as well as Screamcast, and by 2015, all other nightly programming except for emergency news on terrestrial radio will cease, as all stations across the country will carry Bell's show. The FAA's commercial drone testing program will falter as comedy terrorists will use the drones to pie former Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke, President Obama, and Miley Cyrus. No one will notice the attack on Cyrus for months, as they will think it's part of her act. Thousands of people in Malibu in June of 2014 will panic when swimmers report a giant sea serpent was seen in the waters just offshore. The panic will end when lifeguards will discover that it was just Tommy, George Norrie's producer, wearing nothing but a Speedo. Richard C. Hoagland of Dark Mission and the Face on Mars fame will be named the new permanent head of NASA by President Obama when he discovers a giant anomaly on the moon after the Chinese rover mission. Through his special Marvin software, he will find that a giant head that was seen by the rover on the moon is a doggy diner head abducted from a San Francisco diner in 1965. Congress will give Hoagland unlimited funds to build a high-orbit station around the moon, a permanent moon base, and during construction, the first extraterrestrial contact will be made from aliens from Sirius who worship the head as their creator. After the abandonment of the Belgab site by MB, Area 51 drone and Little Chris will take it over and turn it into a real-life spa and recovery site for Call of Duty players who wind up with post-traumatic shock syndrome from playing the game too much. George Norrie, talk show host, will be found insane and committed after he is found climbing in trees wearing a Pikachu costume and yelling that he is the real Mario brother, both of them at once, and gotta catch them all. At nights, he can be heard into the wee hours talking to himself as both personalities. His old show will be absorbed in the new Art Bell streaming show, with all Premiere connected Norrie employees being let go and George Knapp being named permanent weekend host, along that with the Dark Weekend podcast host Bateman doing co-host duties with Knapp. Bill Burns, UFO researcher, professor, magazine publisher, and writer, write a new hit book in 2014 detailing the rise of a new phenomenon in America, as he details the disturbing trend of people who kill their breakfast cereal boxes each morning with implements like spatulas, whisk, and in one horrible case, a blender filled with frankenberries and root beer. In that incident, it is splat all over the house and out a door in a suburb of Phoenix, causing a major flood in 19.5 block square of that city. And finally, for the first time, the Coast to Coast AM talk show will receive no annual predictions calls from anyone. It will be later found the bulk of the callers will be found with cobwebs on themselves and be in a months-long coma because their phones have been put on hold for so long due to Norrie's interminable music breaks, so he can have Tommy go and scrounge turkey sandwiches and cheese whip from 7-Eleven. And this is the guy from Pittsburgh filling in from Pittsburgh Damas. Have a happy new year, and I'll catch you tomorrow night with part 2. So long.